When you're given a presentation, one of the most important things you can do is to build trust. The audience needs to trust you. They need to understand that you're up there giving them information that in one way or another is going to help them. So let's talk about a few simple techniques that you can use to build trust. First is be introduced. That is, if you can, get the event manager, get the person that comes before you to make your introduction. It's just so much more compelling when that other person, that third person and not you, says that you were tops in your class, or you were the #1 salesperson last year, or you graduated from Harvard, or whatever it may be. Put all of that stuff into your introduction and let somebody else say it, because it's really much more powerful than you getting up and bragging on yourself and saying what a great person you are. I always ask, who's going to introduce me? Even if it's a group of 8 or 10 people, I'll ask, is there going to be somebody who will introduce me? Because then that allows me to give them something so they can set me up for success. But be introduced, because then that person will be able to say things that you couldn't say without appearing to be a braggart. Seems like a simple thing here, but start and end on time and take your breaks on time. Now let's think about it. You're giving me a lot of information, and a lot of it I'm not going to be able to verify, but the things I can verify, if they're truthful and they're verifiably truthful, then I feel better about everything else that you said to me. For instance, if I say to you, Angela wanted me to start at 9 o'clock and it's 8:58, so if you guys will be seated, I really want to follow through on that promise. And then if you say at 10:30, I told you I'd take a break at 10:30. It's 10:30 right now, so I want to make sure and give you guys that break because I promised you I would do that. And then the same thing about finishing on time. We should always finish on time. If anything, we should finish a little bit early. But tell them, I promised I'd be done by 11. I'm going to take 2 more questions, and then we're going to get out of here on time, okay? So those are things that they can see, and that they can verify that you're telling me the truth. And if you're telling me the truth on the stuff that I can see, chances are good you're telling me the truth on things that I can't see. It's important to acknowledge counter arguments. It just happens. No matter what your point is, there's counter arguments that are out there, and you might as well get them out in the open and deal with them. Deal with them openly. And not as straw men. Do you know what a straw man argument is? That's where you say, well, my opposition believes, and then they paint a picture of something that's really not what their opposition believes. But it's easy to tear down that straw man. But no, say it for everything, no matter, clean water, whatever, there's always a counter argument, and address that and get it out in the open. And if you're giving presentations to adults, they're going to have this running in their heads anyway, that there are counter arguments to this. And so let's just go ahead and deal with them right now. Let's deal with them up front. Now, some of the people in the audience don't believe global warming is happening, and go ahead and deal with that. The salespeople will tell you that the right time to deal with an objection is before it comes up. In other words, you don't want them to become entrenched. You don't want the person to say, well, $125,000, that's way too expensive. I can buy that online for half that price, right? You want to go ahead and deal with that up front. Yes, you can buy this online at half the price. It will not come with a warranty, and it will be 6 weeks to deliver, or whatever it is. But deal with that counter argument out in the open and up front. This is important. Be truthful with data. Now, I know sometimes going from 80 to 85% is really important, and that's fine. I mean, so if you going from 80 to 85% is important, deal with it. But make sure you put the numbers on there so it doesn't look like we've doubled or tripled in size. 80 to 85, by putting the numbers on here, I'm being truthful. I'm saying, look, over time, we've increased 5 percentage points. Be truthful with your data. There is a tendency to want to skew the data a little bit, but you will destroy everything that you've done if the person that you're giving the presentation to goes back, does a little Google search, and finds out that you have not been truthful with your data. So deal with it. See, we were at 80 for a long time. We moved to 82. And just recently, we've scored in the 85th percentile. And so that allows them to see that data. Be truthful with that. It's tremendously important for you to be confident. Be confident. Stand up, be confident in what you're presenting. Because they will think that you know what you're doing if you feel confident, if you appear confident. There is a tendency, especially amongst Southerners, I am a Southerner, to be self-deprecating, and I don't know what I'm talking about, and I don't know, maybe you guys know more about this than I do, and that kind of language. That's not what we need right now. We asked you here, you got the stage, and you're in front of us for a reason, and we want to hear that confidence in your voice, in your body language. Good body language, you know, if you're like this, that's defensive, right? If you're turned away from me, or like you've headed for the door, you've got one foot pointed towards the door, that looks like you're wanting to get off the stage. Body language, big smile, confident, leaning forward, all of these things that say, hey, I'm here and I'm engaged and I care about this. Keep your arms out. I mean, I don't know how you can sell anything with your arms, your hands thrust in your pocket, but that's important. This is warm and welcoming, this is closed, and this is turned away and closed. And so be warm and welcoming, be out like this. I'm speaking to you with good body language. Be transparent. You know, if you're given a presentation, well, let's say just on global warming, and you have been paid by somebody that has a vested interest in the outcome here, be transparent about that. You know, if you're selling securities and you're being paid by somebody to speak on this, be transparent about it. It's going to be okay. We're all right with the fact that people get up and they give speeches and things that they have an interest in. It's going to happen. Because a lot of times the expert on the subject was somebody who is also deeply invested in that. That's okay. But just be transparent about it. So if I were given a presentation on a particular subject and I say, well, you know, guys, I just want you to know at the outset that I'm heavily invested in these securities and I believe in them and I put my money out there. So when I tell you about these, just understand that I've got my money in there as well. So be transparent. Who's paying you? Be transparent as much as you can with everything. An important point, I think, is to show your human side. You know, no matter what you're doing, even if you're selling investing, even if you're pushing some academic thing, if you have a daughter, as I do, if you have a dog, as I do, show that you are human. Guy Kawasaki does a great job in his presentations. You look him up online, and he always has something about him. He's always part of the presentation. And while you might come across as slick or difficult to connect with, if you show a picture of your dog, or if you talk about your daughter and her trying to get into college, or you talk about something that's deeply personal to you, and show that you're human, it's a lot harder for people to be distrustful of somebody that they know and they like. There's a tendency when you're given a presentation to think in terms of, I'm the teacher and these are the students. And when you think of that kind of paradigm, then you think also that I'm the teacher like you were in 5th grade and you're the students like the 5th grade classroom. And adults are just not that way. When you're talking to adults, they're going to have their opinions and they're going to keep their opinions and they're going to feel free to keep their opinions and they're going to feel free to argue with you about whatever it is that you've said. This is not a bad thing. Allow them to have their own opinions and to argue with you. Because the reality is that we have to sort of process a lot of this information and then we'll say, oh, I get it now. And then all of a sudden, because we collaborated on that, all of a sudden your audience will feel like they're part of it and they'll take it home as something that is theirs. Don't think because somebody's arguing with you that you have somehow or another not done your job. You've probably exactly done your job, but they have to internalize it. They have to make it a part of them, and in order to make it a part of them, they have to verbalize their opinions and do that reflective listening. So what you're saying is, and if I'm hearing you right, and let's discuss that, make sure that they're completely heard. Most people just need to be completely heard. And if you cut them short or you silence them in some way or another, they will just feel like forever that they're resentful and they don't want anything to do with it. So allow the room for the other opinions. In fact, I would even encourage them to have their opinions. Realize you'll never win everyone. If you have a big, substantial group, and if you are presenting on a topic that has some controversy, there's always going to be somebody in the crowd who will go home shaking their head. You don't need 100%. In order for you to be successful, you need what, 70%, 60%, maybe even less than that. Don't worry about the one or two who puts on the comment form something negative. Worry about the 99% that put something very positive on the comment form, that are glad you're there, and they're glad. And besides, if you're going to take a stand on something, which if you're going to be on stage, you really should take a stand on something. If you're going to take a stand on something, that also means that there's going to be people who don't agree with you. And that's okay. Let them go home and not be convinced. One of the things we do in our classes is what's called a tough questions exercise. We know over time you're going to get some tough questions. So rather than waiting until you're on stage and somebody asks you the tough questions, in our class, we will, over the course of the class, we'll write out as many tough questions as we can. We'll give those questions to the presenter ahead of time, let them formulate some good responses, and then when it happens in real life, they're much more ready to answer the tough question because they've already role-played that in the class. That's a great thing to do. Guys, I hope this has helped. I'm always eager to hear from you. If you have some thoughts on how to build trust in your next presentation or what I might do in my next presentation, please let me know. I'm always willing to hear what you think. Thanks for your time.